Squishies, welcome back to another vlog. This is My Hero Academia, Season 1, Episodes 7 and 8. I have no idea what the titles are, but I feel like they don't really matter as much with this show, or really with anime in general, because the stories tend to be a little bit more flowing together in a lot of anime, and this series is very much the case. So first half of this block, well really this whole block, was concluding the test in the heroes versus villains class, where they were doing the urban combat training. That's what I was looking for, the urban combat training. And so the first episode is at the actual conclusion of the training, and the second episode is the aftermath. So for once, it seems like the end of this mini arc actually coincides with the end of the episodes I'm covering for a vlog. So that's always nice. There's a few different things I want to talk about with this one, but the main one is the rival. Bakugo. And he is a really good example of the classic archetypal rival. I say archetypal, there's no rival in Jung's theory of the archetypes, but in certain genres it's so common and always follows the same pattern that it is essentially an archetype. So what am I talking about with the rival? Okay, so part of it is obvious. A rival is a rival. It's someone that, you're competing against. So it is, at least initially, the rival is usually an antagonist. Might not be an outright villain, might just be somebody you're trying to prove you're better than, but the key feature of the rival is that they make the hero stronger, and often vice versa. The rival may or may not be trying to destroy the hero, but what they don't... villains very often will in some way weaken the hero. They'll beat the hero down, they'll take things the hero needs, that kind of thing. But the rival, instead, gives the hero something to strive for. They present a challenge for the hero to overcome as essentially practice. That may not be what they're trying to do, but that's the role they fulfill in the story, and that's what Bakugo is doing here. He's repeatedly forcing Midoriya into situations where he has to become stronger, smarter, more skilled in order to do what he's trying to do. And Bakugo's antagonism is ultimately serving only to make Midoriya stronger for when the real villains show up, which I suspect is going to be happening soon based on the end of episode 8, but I'll get to that. They're playing around with the word Deku, which I suspect would make more sense if I spoke Japanese. I am curious. Deku meaning useless. Is that a recent slang thing, or is that something that's meant that for a long time? Is that the dictionary definition of it, or is it old slang, or is it new slang, or what? Because it makes me wonder about the Deku scrub in Majora's Mask, The Legend of Zelda Majora's Mask. Early in the game, very early in the game, pretty much the very beginning of the game, you get transformed into a Deku scrub, and the first part of the game is figuring out how to get turned back into a human. And scrub, of course, is, in the English language, slang for somebody who is new and unskilled and doesn't know what they're doing, and kinda useless. So it makes me wonder if there's a pun going on there. But on the other hand, for all I know, Deku came to mean useless because of Zelda games. I don't know. I don't know anything about it. So, if anybody knows, comment and tell me. I'm just curious. I guess I have friends I could ask if I was really super curious, but I don't know. It's just something I'm thinking about right after having watched the episode. Back to the rival. So, in shonen anime in particular, rivals tend to be allies later on, but they're never, or often not, super reliable allies. They're still competing against the hero. An example of a rival who really doesn't ever become an ally is Gary Oak from Pokemon. He's a great example of a rival. In the games, or in the original game, Blue, Red, Green, the rival Blue is he shows up at various spots in the game essentially to test you. If you can't beat him, then you are not yet ready to proceed to the next part of the game. And so he essentially prepares you for the next part of the game. It's not... If I remember correctly, it's been a long time since I've played Pokemon, but if I remember correctly, even if you get a game over, any experience you gained is still kept. Like, you don't actually get a game over, you just blank out. As long as you have... I think it's as long as you have money to give half of it to the opponent, you just blank out and wake up in the last Poké Center you used. So you don't actually get a game over, you just retain. Your Pokemon end up getting healed, and any levels they gained or experience they gained in the meantime is retained. So if you really couldn't beat him, you could just run up to Blue over and over again, getting beat, losing half your money every time, but slowly racking up the experience, assuming you could beat at least one of his Pokemon, until you can brute force your way through him. Or you can go out and fight wild Pokemon or whatever until you level up enough to take him. But the point stands, he's there to strengthen you for the next phase of the game. Up until the very end of the game, where he actually is the last boss, which is a very rare thing for a rival. Spoilers for a 20-plus-year-old game, I guess. In the anime, he's a much more traditional rival. He doesn't show up that often, but he does serve as someone whom Ash is always trying to beat, and that serves as one of Ash's motivators. It's not his main one, but it is one. Classic example of the rival who becomes an ally is Vegeta from Dragon Ball Z. He remains, as far as I know, disclaimer, I've watched like a quarter of one episode of Dragon Ball Z because it's shit. But I've watched all of DBZA to date. Because that's actually pretty funny. Once you get past the early episodes. And the occasional really not funny bit. But as time has gone on, they've gotten better and better at being actually funny and like telling the story in a way that's appealing instead of annoying and boring. But anyway, at least judging by that, and judging from things I've heard from people who like the series for some reason, Vegeta remains, if not quite actively villainous, at least not a nice guy for the entire series. And he repeatedly challenges Goku, especially in the first two arcs, in ways that make him stronger. And essentially prepare him for what's to come. In this case, it's less that they directly fight each other after the first arc, but more that they give each other something to compete against. What we've got with Midoriya and Bakugo is directly fighting each other, but it's making them stronger. Midoriya is forced in this fight to come up with strategies on the fly to figure out a way to use not just his own power, but the environment and the skills of his teammates in ways to beat Bakugo while not injuring himself really badly, which is, of course, a serious problem with his power. For Bakugo, in the second episode, discovering the truth about Midoriya's power gives him renewed hope isn't the right word, but a renewed goal. He still wants to beat Midoriya more than ever now that he's lost to him. And his confidence was momentarily shaken as he realized he's not effortlessly the best anymore, the way he was in junior high. So he needs to actually work. And this is something he's now realized, but he's now motivated to do it because of his desire to beat Midoriya. And so, though they have slightly different approaches to it, I feel like Midoriya is more, I don't want to lose, and Bakugo is more, I want to win. It still comes down to their rivalry is going to make them both stronger, and probably just in time, because at the end of the episode we see what appears to be a villain bar. I actually already knew that the dude with hands all over him, and the hand covering his face, was the villain. He showed up in something else that I saw, another video that I saw, and I asked in the comments who that was, and they were like, "Oh, that's the villain of My Little Academia, My Hero Academia." God, My Little Academia is exactly what the last couple of seasons are, aren't they? Anyway, so that's, I already knew that. Actually, the one I really like the design of is the sort of shadow guy at the bar. That's a cool design, and it looks like he can do something with that shadow because I noticed him in the opening credits. So it looks like actual villains are going to be entering into the show, as opposed to just like rivals and stuff. So that's, again, exactly what this kind of rivalry does in fiction, is it makes the characters stronger, essentially as preparation for the real fight. So it'll be interesting to see where that goes. Yeah, I think that's about it. Thank you all for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Check out my Patreon for early access to vlogs, essays, let's plays, and more. And I'll see you all next time. Bye!